Hi, welcome to Where Are We? I'm Joe Erbs, grew up in Brunswick, and I'm currently a Goodyear Blimp Pilot doing a presentation at the Brunswick Rec Center. This is my mom, Mary. She's came up here today to learn a little bit about the blimps as well.
I'm getting interviewed. Well, he was in the top of the tree, and he calls to me, and I said, oh, for God's sakes, don't yell, don't anything, don't fall out of the tree. And I should have known. Yeah. And when he started flying small planes, I think he was 16 or 17, he wasn't allowed to drive the car at night. And he said, I just got asked, and it'll be for money. I'm flying this guy down to Georgia. He wasn't allowed to drive the car across town.
But he could fly to Georgia.
But he flew down to Georgia.
Yeah, learning to fly a blimp. I'd been a pilot for 25 years at least at the time, and learning to fly the blimp is the hardest aircraft I ever had to learn how to fly. It's harder than jets. I've flown multiple different aircraft in the Air Force and commercially, and the blimp was the hardest one to learn how to fly because it acts like a blimp. It doesn't act like it acts like a airplane sometimes. It acts like a helicopter sometimes. It acts like a boat on the water sometimes. Sometimes it acts like all those three things in a 10-second period. Sometimes you don't know which one you need it to act like, which one it's gonna act like. So it takes a long time to figure that out. So the training for a blimp really takes it took me almost a year to get fully checked out in a blimp. I think it was about 11 months. Part of that I had blown out my knee and I didn't fly, but yeah, really anywhere from about 8 months to a year to get fully checked out in a blimp, because it's a really hard thing to learn how to fly. So we're gonna do a little vocabulary lesson, right? We know we're not a blimp. Well, what we are now is a semi-rigid airship. So we have a structure inside, but the shape is maintained by the gases. But if you were to deflate that, it would go down to that internal frame. Well, the Goodyear semi-rigid airship doesn't flow off the tongue, so we still call it the Goodyear blimp. People love to point out that we're not a blimp, but we know that.
His dad, my husband Merle, was also taking private flying lessons. And when Joe was in grade school at St. Ambrose, Merle pulled him out of school. He said, let's go flying. And they went up to flew out of Freedom, went up to the islands, and Joe fell in love with flying. And he said, I want to fly. And so Merle said, I'm quitting flying lessons. I said, why are you doing that? He said, well, you can't afford both, and it's an expensive hobby. He said, Joe may make a career out of it someday. I'm just doing it for fun. And so that's where it started. He started flying planes when he was 17, and he said, come on, Mom, let's go up. He said, I want to take you where I love it. And he took the plane, went through some clouds, and we're above clouds, just a little Cessna or something. And he said, this is where I love being, up above the clouds. And I thought, oh dear God, now I have to worry about this. But I worried about it for about 5 minutes, and I said, he loves it. So and he just loved it. He loves flying. I swear if he could jump off the roof and flap his arms, he'd do it. But no, he's always loved flying.
To be honest, I like flying over just a different terrain and stuff that you see throughout the country. I mean, flying over the high deserts of Arizona and New Mexico and Nevada are really just gorgeous, seeing the sun play off the rocks and the shadows and everything. Flying over cities at night and seeing the hustle and bustle down in different cities is cool. Flying over sporting events. I'm a huge college football fan, and I'm gonna be honest, I'd rather be on the ground watching the game. But when you're up in the air over some of these events and you see just the energy of the stadium, and you can feel the energy of the fans, it's pretty cool. So whether it's over the shoe or the whiteout game in Penn State, or I've been Tuscaloosa or NASCAR races and stuff, just feeling the energy of the sporting event is really neat.
He called me on the phone. He said, are you home? And I said, he said, I'll be there in about 15 minutes. I said, okay, so I'm planning on putting on coffee and all that. And he said, no, I've got the Blimp. He said, I'm in that. So he's flying by the pool in Old Mill, and there are a bunch of kids, look at a Blimp, look at a Blimp, and they're pointing, and I said, Joe, I said, come down as low as you can. I said, wave, and I told the kids, I said, look up. I said, the pilot's gonna wave to you. And you can open the window, it's not a pressurized cabin. So he both, and Joe's waving to him, and the kids were so excited that, how did you get him to do that? How did you get to do it? I said, well, I know the pilot.
Each base has 4 pilots, and there's 1 chief pilot in Akron, so 13 total pilots. Right now we're at 11. So yeah, there's 11 of us in Goodyear. And then, you know, throughout the country, there's a couple other small Blimp operations that are flying around. So there's other Blimp pilots around, but not many. I mean, the estimates is there's only about 25 or so operational Blimps in the world, and probably less than 50 active current flying Blimp pilots in the world. So we have to say there's more astronauts, or there's more astronauts than Blimp pilots. So, oh, hey, my pleasure. I'm glad I can finally come down here, and I appreciate you guys asking me down.
What we do is we take the veteran or the eligible family member, we take whatever that issue is they got going on at that point in time, and we try to plug it with a solution.
So when I come in here and I see all the different programs, it's pretty exciting to know that you're not just left out there as a veteran in the community. There's a place you can go to learn about how to qualify for your benefits, as well as take some of these classes.
It's just a good place to come and just kind of hang out, you know, no pressure.
And it's really just all about that veteran finding something in their life that gives them purpose and makes them whole again.
So my name is Jennifer Brenner. I am the Executive Director of Project Learn of Medina County. And today we are at the Bookshelf by Project Learn of Medina County in Medina, which is right next to Cool Beans, if you're familiar with the square. So Project Learn is an adult educational program. We work with individuals who are seeking to obtain their high school credential, primarily a GED. We also serve individuals who do not know English. So we have a lot of people from the newcomer community, immigrants, refugees who are here, and we help them assimilate and teach them English. So the bookstores are primarily modeled after the Goodwill store or like the Habitat for Humanity Restore, where we take in donations. It's manned by volunteers, and then we resell those books in a very selective, organized environment.
My name is Jenny Young, and I'm a board member for Project Learn, and I also am helping out in the bookshelf, being a bit of a cheerleader alongside our volunteers. Why did I get involved? Books, literacy, very important to me. Been important to me my entire life. That was like the one luxury growing up. As long as I was reading a book, I could stay awake longer. I had more privileges. As long as I finished a book, I got a new book. Growing up in a house where there wasn't a lot of money, that was a huge motivation for me. I have always loved Project Learn. I have always loved the bookshelf. And I got a free little library in the front of my house, and it just ignited. It was just time. It was just time to put some of the energy to help Jen's passion, partner both of our passions, and come together and help things move and be marketed in a way that brings in more people, highlights this as a place to be, a place to shop, a resource, so that Jen can go and do the good stuff that she does. So it was just time to come to the bookstore and do some good stuff.
So when I first started, we had a total of 35 people we were working with. And since I've been here in 4 years, we've grown to 150 people that enroll in our programs every year. Last year, we had 12 students complete their GED. This year, I think we're on pace to increase that to about 18 to 20 who've completed their GED. And if you've ever done the GED test, it's not very easy. So we give them much applause. So we're always enrolling for our programming. So anybody can reach out at any time via our website. They can complete a short enrollment form, and then they'll come in for an orientation and an intake, and then we'll get them right into class. So there's no delay. So we have classes all throughout Medina County. We partner with the libraries. So we have classes within the libraries. We have class at Church of the Nazarene up in Brunswick. We have class in our main office here in Medina Square on the second floor of the Huntington building. We just started classes in the southern part of the county. So we partner with Community Action in Lodi, and we have classes down there. And we also have classes at the Wadsworth Library. So all throughout the county. So once a student completes their GED, we connect them to employment opportunities if they don't already have a job, increased wage growth if they already have a job. Sometimes they do come to us specifically to obtain their GED so they can get a raise or they can get a promotion. Our bookstores are open Monday through Friday, 10 to 5. On Saturday, we're 10 to 4. And we're looking at expanding some of those hours in the summer. So keep an eye out on our social media page and on our website for any of those changes and updates. We've just started kind of piggybacking on some of the events that are going on in Medina Square through Main Street Medina, or when Black Cat does a literary focused event, we'll stay open later to kind of capture all those folks who love reading.
Between Wadsworth and Medina, there are a variety of different events that are going to pop up. Gnomes on the Roam is coming up, First Fridays in both towns is coming up, and what we're trying to do is partner with that and stay open later, while our ultimate goal is to adjust our hours a little bit so that we will be open beyond 5 o'clock, so those people who work at 5 have a chance to come in, or families have a chance to come in. So follow us on Facebook, both for Project Learn and for the Bookshelf, because that is how you'll find out what we have going on, what our volunteers have going on for these specific events.
So we do have our big annual signature fundraiser coming up called Match Wits. It's a team trivia competition, and every year we theme it around a literary piece of work or an author. So this year it's A Journey to Oz, themed around Wizard of Oz, because that's pretty hot right now. It's April 23rd, and it's at Williams on the Lake here in Medina. So tickets can be found on our website, which is projectlearnmedina.org. And we're always looking for sponsors. So if you want to sponsor our event or donate a raffle basket, we would love that. We're doing a banned book bingo in the fall in October. I want to say it's the 10th, October 10th. We do a banned book bingo over at Western Reserve. It's a pretty relaxed, fun fundraiser. So those tickets will be available in the summer, late summer. So we're always looking for volunteers. We really need volunteers in both bookstore locations. So if you enjoy books and you love book people, we're a good landing spot for you to come hang out for a few hours a week. We also need help on our board. So if you're board-minded and you want to kind of direct our programming and direct our focus, we're looking for board members. For our programs, we're always looking for tutors. So if you're a teacher or you love immigrants and refugees and you want to help them learn English, we are here for you. So we take clean, used books. So they can't have like any mold. They can't have any book mites. They can't have any severe water damage. And we prefer fiction and nonfiction. We don't take any textbooks. We take limited educational resource materials. We do take dictionaries and we do take cookbooks. We don't take encyclopedias. So that whole stack of encyclopedias that you may have hanging around collecting dust, I'm sorry. We're gonna have to recycle those. But anything else, we do take some puzzles. Puzzles are a hot commodity right now in the winter. And we do take CDs and DVDs. So if you're into old school DVDs, stop in, check out our selection. We're getting a lot of requests for romantasy right now, which is kind of a combination of fantasy and romance. That seems to be a really hot genre. We're also getting some requests for classics. So if you have any classic books that you're willing to part with, we're a good landing spot for all of those.
If you want to donate, you don't have to have a used book at home. If there's a book you want us to put in people's hands, right now 1984 is being asked almost daily in both bookstores. So if you want to like Amazon us a book or buy a couple and drop it off and just do a in-kind donation, that's awesome. You can do that too. If you don't know, Wadsworth used to be a bank. It's a historical building. Jen and I have a lot of plans this year to highlight some of those features in the Wadsworth bookstore. We want them both to be a destination for people to drive. I want people to come to Wadsworth and think of it like going to Loganberry. If you've not been to Loganberry, it's like walking inside Harry Potter. So I would love to bring that into Wadsworth. So yeah, we have a lot of plans. We have a laundry list of things that we want to do, that we want to upgrade. We want to make these cool spaces. We just need volunteers. We need board members, and we need the community's help. So if you come and buy the books, honestly, that gives back to what Jen is doing at Project Learn. That's what the board is doing. So when you're coming and you're shopping at the stores, when you're buying a $5 book, or when you're buying our DVDs, or you're buying our cool $1 little books, all of that goes back to Jen and makes all of the things that she listed possible.